Emotion and Learning to Drive. Presentation by Jean Brunet. In this presentation, I'll be discussing emotions in the 2014 movie Learning to Drive and applying some of the content from Psych 27:16 to characters and emotions displayed. I'll begin by introducing the story in the movie. Learning to Drive is about a woman named Wendy Shields and a man named Darwin Singh Ter who together learn valuable lessons about life, relationships, and themselves. Wendy is a New York book critic, Darwin her driving instructor. The story begins when Wendy decides to start taking driving lessons in order to regain her independence after her husband leaves her. Darwin is also facing some relationship problems as his newly arranged wife immigrated to New York with no English. Throughout the story, the two characters create a strong friendship as Wendy learns to drive. Now, before I jump into applying the course content to this story, I'll explain the topics that I'll be discussing. First, in Module 7, Personality, Communication, and Appraisal, we learned about core relational themes. Core relational themes were first introduced by Richard Lazarus. Each theme results in a distinct emotion, so the themes summarize the person-environment relationship in terms of a particular type of harm or benefit. For example, the core relational theme for the emotion of anger is an injustice. When someone is a victim of an injustice or some sort of demeaning offense against themselves or another, they will feel angry. Table 3.4 from Lazarus's Emotion and Adaptation shows some other examples of core relational themes for some basic emotions. The next concept that I'll be discussing is positive emotions from Module 9. There's a lot of debate surrounding positive emotions. Some positive emotions, such as happiness, are not considered emotions by some. Instead, happiness is believed to be a mood or personality trait, while joy would be the emotion. There's also debate on the purpose of positive emotions. Barbara Fredrickson believes that positive emotions open our minds, change our outlook, and expands our world. Also on the topic of positive emotions, some researchers believe that there are relationships between many positive emotions, so that one emotion leads to other positive emotions. In this module, we also studied how positive emotions do not produce distinct or specific physiological effects such as negative emotions do. It is much more difficult to differentiate between positive emotions with physiological measures. The third concept that I'll be applying to the movie scene is emotion regulation from Module 10. In this module, we learned that emotion regulation, by definition, is the methods of modifying emotional reactions and balancing the emotions we display. In 1999, Gross created a model of emotion regulation that explains 5 stages of the emotion process that contribute to emotion regulation. By choosing the situation, modifying the situation, attending to certain positive or negative aspects of the situation, by appraising the situation, by managing the emotion once it is experienced, an individual can regulate their emotions. With this model of emotion regulation, Gross also provided us with problem-focused strategies, appraisal-focused strategies, and emotion-focused strategies. Furthermore, on this topic of emotion regulation, we learned about ways to cope with stressful situations. One method to cope was developed by Dr. Charles Carver called COPE. This method has 3 main types of coping: emotion-focused, problem-focused, and resignation/acceptance. Now that I've explained the topics that I'll be discussing, you can head on over to my next video, which is part 2, Emotion and Learning to Drive, where I'll be applying this material to a scene from the movie.
Created using Powtoon.